Good evening and welcome. My name is Paul Muller. I'm the Director of Admissions at Regis Jesuit High School. We're so pleased to have you joining us this evening for this virtual town hall. There's nothing we would love more than to be on campus with you right now. Unfortunately, as you likely know, the pandemic has created the need for a more virtual effort this evening. So we're really excited to have you here. We have what we think will be a pretty fun and informative evening. We'll have some members of our administration and faculty joining us, as well as some current students to share some of their perspective and answer, quite frankly, answer all the questions, or as many of the questions as we can, that you all submitted as you registered for this event. There's a lot of commonality in these questions, so I suspect we'll cover a whole bunch of ground and answer a lot of the questions that you do have. And in the process, inevitably, we'll be able to end up sharing a whole bunch about our community and what we have to offer students and families that choose to join us here at Regis Jesuit. So over the next 30 to 40 minutes or so, we'll get started here and we'll go from there. So thank you for joining us. Our first guest this evening is our principal, Jimmy Trico. Jimmy's just finishing his second year at Regis Jesuit, but he has a long history in Jesuit education, a graduate and former teacher at Brophy College Prep, a Jesuit high school in Phoenix, Arizona, as well as he was also the principal at Xavier College Prep in Palm Desert, California. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. As Paul mentioned, my name is Jimmy Trico. I'm the principal here at Regis Jesuit, and it's an honor to be with you this evening. I know we face unusual and challenging times right now, and I hope all is well with you and your family. At Regis Jesuit, we're working on our own little mantra. The first part of it is family first, our relationships with one another, with God, and with our friends. We also like to focus on patience. During this time, it's easy to get restless and wonder what comes next. I've been really proud about our community and their ability to be patient through all the unknowns. And then finally, we believe that great love produces great hope. Our faculty and staff, our parents and students have exhibited nothing but great love during this time. And for me, that's produced a lot of hope. So this evening, I'd like to begin with what we do every day at Regis Jesuit to start our day, a prayer. So if we could take a moment and recognize that we're in the presence of God and make our beginning in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. In this time of increased isolation and social distancing, Spirit draws us together. It is the ligament that connects us over all boundaries, the gravity that pulls us together, the unity that prevails despite the world's divisions. It's what enables us to care for others, even while remaining isolated in the world. Maybe now more than ever, love helps us care for our neighbor, even as we keep our distance, and gives us the wisdom, courage, and humility to know when to get close anyway. St. Ignatius of Loyola and St. John Francis Regis, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Tonight, I hope this is a semblance of being close. While I wish I could be there with you in person, know that we are very much present in spirit. One of my favorite things about Regis Jesuit are the people, the relationships. We have ridiculously talented students, brilliant teachers, a faculty and staff who can't wait to discover who a student is, whose they are, and who they're called to be. I'm grateful for the ways that we try to accompany young people in their education, trying to discover what gifts and talents God has hidden inside of them, and they can grow to become who God exactly wants them to be. It's very good to be with you tonight. I look forward to meeting you in person, hopefully soon, and I wish you all the best.
Whenever we have an event, I always like to make sure we try to include as many voices as possible into these conversations. So I'd like to set some further context by sharing with you a brief video, just a few minutes long, and it's available on our website as well. But I think it does help set the context of who we are as a school, and really what to expect as a student, and just to add some additional voices to this conversation. So let's watch a brief video.
When you walk through a threshold here at Regis Jesuit, you're entering into a facility that was put here by people who came before you. And we continually need to be engaged with how we leave this institution for the next generation of students. We're always looking for how can we do this better, and we're called to do that in the context of our mission. What more can we do for the greater glory of God? The students that we serve, they will become the leaders and the influencers in our community. And so that preparation and that formation is so important.
Cura Personalis is the care of the person, but the sense of the care of the whole person. Regis Jesuit takes great concern that we include the entire person in our formation. It includes their emotional development as well as their own spiritual and faith development. Undergirding that Cura Personalis is love. Love for each and every student that comes through our doors.
You have a teacher there and they genuinely care about who you are first as a person and then as a learner. And that, I think, really changes the dynamic of the learning atmosphere, really changes how life runs here at Regis Jesuit.
The handwork of loving really can be seen here at Regis Jesuit on a daily basis between the students and the teachers and the students amongst themselves, which makes this a more accepting and loving place that you look forward to go to every single day.
We really want to encourage a culture and an attitude about being open to growth, learning new things, going out of our comfort zone. When we step outside of what we're used to or what we're comfortable with, we grow.
By having a diverse student body, we're able to offer our students the opportunity to get an experience of what the world is like. It allows them to understand different experiences, bring different perspectives to a conversation. The same thing happens with our religious diversity.
I've come across so many students who were inspired to really learn more about their own religion or are challenged to develop, why do I believe what I believe?
That diversity of opinion and thinking, there isn't anything more Ignatian than that.
Intellectual competence is the outstanding capacity to learn, but also the loving desire to learn. Regis Jesuit students are students that ultimately love learning.
The assignments push the students to further boundaries of thought, and the teachers really allow the students to take more freedom in their assignments, really putting the responsibility of learning onto the students. In that way, it enables the student to really absorb information and be curious and give them the skills to be able to study for college.
I think what's great about students at Regis Jesuit is that they are committed to not only their own intellectual pursuits, but they're committed to the world around them. And I think that's what makes the Jesuit tradition a unique one, in the sense that we don't learn for ourselves, but we learn for what we can do for others.
Regis Jesuit really values just helping those who don't have as much.
We take 2 weeks out and do service, and that ignited a fire in myself to continue to give back to my community.
We understand and committed to doing justice that we're put on this earth to serve. And I think that's really inspirational to see in my students every day, because not only do I see them in the classroom working hard to better themselves, I see them in the community taking what they learn and putting it to use.
Because of financial aid, I've been able to be here at Regis Jesuit and experience my true passions.
Regis Jesuit built me to the person that I am today.
I think it's just molded us to be better adults.
It was that grounding spiritually, then the development as a whole person that continues through to today.
Regis Jesuit has done a fantastic job of educating kids and bringing them to the next level of life. When you think of 140 years of education, that's amazing.
What we're really doing is trying to help our students develop an authentic relationship with God and to know who they are and to be able to share their gifts with others. That's not going to change. We may change how we do that, but we're not ever going to change what we do. There's just something so fundamental about the urgency of that mission that will endure for another 140 years.
So as I said, I hope that video helps set some context for you, some further context for you this evening. I'm joined now by the Boys Division head, Karen Wirtz. Karen, thanks so much for coming this evening. What would be some of the first things you'd hope people would want to know, or what would be some of the first things you'd share with people about Regis Jesuit?
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me. Well, one thing I would say is that I know that families have a lot of choice in high school these days about where the places they could send their sons and daughters. And I feel like I speak from some good experience. I've had 28 years in education, and I've been in all different types of settings. I've taught in public, private, all girls, all boys, co-ed. And what I have found out in 28 years is that there are good teachers in every school. And good teachers can show love and care in all different kinds of schools. But our Jesuit identity and our focus on caring for the whole person leads us really easily to see our students as God sees them and to love them that way. And so it just comes a lot more naturally. The kinds of conversations we can have, the kind of care that we can show for our students in our setting is just really more natural and more complete than in any other setting that I have ever experienced as an educator. And I think that especially right now, coming out of this pandemic, as we work to rebuild our schools, our communities, our world, I think that we need an Ignatian worldview more than ever, and that's what Regis Jesuit has to offer. So one of the other things I like to tell the students when they come to shadow visit is you walk through the halls and you see the pictures on the walls of athletes and musicians and all kinds of champions of all different kinds of activities. And you might think to yourself, well, how do I belong? What do I need to do to fit in? What's going to be my thing at Regis Jesuit? And I want all the kids that are out there listening to know that you already belong, just exactly as you are today in this moment, just exactly the way that God made you, you belong. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever you like to do, whatever you like to watch, whatever you like to listen to, there's a friend group for you. There's a club for you. There are teachers who you will meet, who you will connect with on a really deep level. You don't have to try to do anything to fit in. You're going to fit in exactly as you are right now, that you already belong. I think that's most important to share with our prospective community members.
Yeah, that's awesome, Karen. I couldn't agree more on that point. You mentioned a little bit about single gender education. Obviously, our model is a little bit unique. A boys division, a girls division is part of one school on the same campus. Maybe share a little bit about maybe some thoughts. We certainly had a lot of questions about single gender education and what that means and what the experience is like. So maybe share some thoughts on that.
Sure, absolutely. The key is relationships. All students will thrive in settings where teachers really care for them and love for them, when they can explore truth and beauty in a safe environment. But the key is in the relationships. And as an educator, we want to meet the students where they are. And it's just a little bit of an easier entry point when it's in a single gender model. When you can sort of like nurture and care for and pay attention to a student's vulnerabilities a little bit easier. When I'm teaching just boys or teaching just girls, I use humor and emotion differently. I strategize with competition and collaboration differently, depending on which gender I'm teaching in a room. The outcomes are the same. The final product, the acquisition of skills and knowledge is the same. You want that same outcome, and we guarantee that. But the approach is a little bit different when you're in front of just boys or just girls, and you can care for them in a different way together.
Yeah, that's so integral to who we are and one of the advantages we have available to us in our model.
Absolutely.
I know you also, some of your timing of arrival on our campus was also part and parcel with your children arriving to our campus as students. I know it was part of your search for schools for your kids that led you here. Maybe talk a little bit about the parent experience or your parent experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I want to say that for kids, I got to watch that as a mom. My son graduated in the class of 2015. My daughter graduated in the class of 2018. And both of them brought with them to Regis Jesuit sort of their identity and perspectives that they developed from kindergarten through 8th grade. And they came thinking they knew who they were going to be on our campus and the kinds of things that they would enjoy doing and the people that they would hang out with, largely their friends that they brought from middle school. But in a matter of days, that all changes. And as a teacher and as a parent, I see kids reinventing themselves. I see kids discovering new gifts and abilities they didn't even know that they had, new interests by trying different clubs, different sports, different types of classes they never thought they would take. I've seen people who come in as soccer players and leave as theater experts. I see people who come in as robotics type of kids and leave as musicians. And it's not that they gave one up for the other, it's that they could do it all at Regis Jesuit. And that's part of who we are. That's part of how we care for the whole person. It's part of how we nurture the whole child. So watching my own kids come in, expecting them to be this type of person and then leaving as so much more was super gratifying. And I think that also as a parent in the community, we do a lot of outreach towards our parents, including a program called the Profile of an Ignatian Parent, where we're trying to instill a lot of these Ignatian values that are unique to Jesuit schools in the parent community as well. We want our kids to have a really strong community on campus, but we also want that for our parents who aren't in our classrooms. And so I think that just the connections that you build, the lifelong friendships that you build as a Regis Jesuit parent are super valuable.
We really couldn't imagine Jesuit education without the arts. The arts are a huge part of the curriculum and many students' co-curricular activities here on our campus. So we'd like to share just a little bit of what the arts program is like here as well, give you a glimpse at how you can participate in the arts as a student.
Let's hear from some students who have lived the Regis Jesuit experience. Their perspectives are most important at this time. I'd like to introduce for our student panel, Isalina, Akan, Guillermo, and Ryan. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome, students. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. I know it's, your schedules are, I'm sure, super busy, between quarantining and quarantining. I'm glad you were able to find time for us this evening. So thanks for coming. As I think I let you all know, we solicited questions from people that registered for the event and to see what sort of questions they had on their minds. So why don't we get started there? Isalina, why don't you tell us why you chose Regis Jesuit?
Yeah, of course. So I have an older brother, and he ended up going to Regis 2 years ahead of me. So that's kind of what caught my interest in Regis. But I would say probably my shadow visit when I went on my shadow visit, I just realized how welcoming and how excited all of the students were to just see me be on my visit there. And they just asked me so many questions like, what sports are you into? Would you join any clubs? That kind of thing. And I think that's what really caught my interest, is just how excited they were to see me. And that's kind of the community I was looking for in a high school, is that sense that everyone is welcome and everyone just wants to welcome you with open arms. So yeah, and then also just the opportunities that Regis presented. I heard about all the service they do and the retreats, and I think that really caught my interest. So yeah.
Thank you. Funny you bring up service. We had a whole bunch of questions along those lines. Ryan, maybe share a little bit with us about your experience with service.
Oh, absolutely. I think service, I think Isalina, I think you described it well. Service is definitely a component of the Regis Jesuit experience that differentiates it, I believe, from public schools or other private schools for that matter. My personal experience with service is kind of manifested itself in several different ways. I've worked at soup kitchens and other nonprofits in Denver, but the number one place where I spent a lot of my time doing service while I was at Regis Jesuit was at the Tennyson Center for Children, which is a school for kids who are maybe orphaned or have trauma history or a whole host of different other circumstances that bring them there. And it was really rewarding. I got to spend a total of 4 weeks during the school year, during my junior and senior year, working at that site and helping the kids and really fostering those relationships. and I really found them to be very formational for me personally.
That's thanks so much. That's really really worthwhile piece. Khan, talk to us a little bit about what sort of impact the time you've had doing service has had upon you.
Service really did impact me a lot. Coming into Regis, I always did hear a lot about service and how impactful it is to individuals, but I didn't really understand until I went on my service site, which was at a Catholic school that I went to previously. And it was just interesting to see all the changes and like getting to interact with the little kids who I didn't get to interact while I was there. And it was just nice to have a relationship with the kids and how they were able to see you as a person making a difference in their life, even though if you didn't see it personally, they felt that. And my last day, it was just amazing how I was getting all these cards and how they were going to miss me and they were hoping that I'd visit. And it just showed how much I did for those kids.
Oh, nice. Thanks so much for sharing on that. Guillermo, we had a question about teachers and the relationships that students have with teachers in the classroom and so forth. So I was wondering if you could maybe speak a little bit to your own experience with teachers and what that was like.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, teachers at Regis Jesuit really are there to not only teach, but also to make connections with the students. For example, my freshman year, right away, I knew I had a connection with my English teacher, Ms. Sherwood. And throughout the year, really, throughout my 4 years, that I was able to connect with her and keep that relationship going. And I really hope that now that I've moved on from Regis Jesuit, I'll have the opportunity to stay in touch with her, as well as many other teachers that I've had.
Thank you. Ryan, why don't you share with us a little bit more on the teachers and what, obviously in the current mode of online learning that you're all experiencing. Maybe you could share a little bit about what that experience has been like and how it's been challenging or remain challenging, if it has. What's the online experience been like?
Well, I think the online experience, Guillermo talked a lot about connections with teachers. I always like to describe it as, Regis Jesuit teachers are people who when you come back 5-10 years down the road, you're going to want to have a burger with and catch up with, because they really are a lot more than teachers. They're really good friends. And during this pandemic and in the online learning scenario, that really hasn't changed too much. The academics have still remained very rigorous. My calculus teacher and all the stuff that she assigned was definitely a testament to that. I felt like I was learning a lot throughout these last 8 weeks that we were in this online learning setting. But also that connection still stayed. For instance, my English teacher, we would have these daily video calls and connections. And one day he was just like, you know what, I'm stuck at home. I'm going to make a video on how to properly grill a steak. And he decided to post that on our class page. So it's just little things like that that the Regis teachers do that really make an impact, even in the midst of this current pandemic.
Yeah, thank you. Iselina, what about the student connections? What has that been like? What sort of support or otherwise have you felt?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. So for me, coming into Regis, I was really nervous because I came from a public middle school and I think I only knew 2 people coming in. And so I was just so nervous and had no idea what to expect. But I think I quickly came to realize that friendships were so different than what I could have imagined them to be. I didn't realize you could be friends with upperclassmen and underclassmen too, even if they're not in the same grade as you. And I think that really surprised me. And so I've become friends become friends with other people through classes, through sports, through clubs, and so many different areas. And I think the amazing thing about Regis is that everyone encounters this real sense of community that is created through like all the traditions, all the mission of Regis and the people. And because of the fact that everyone encounters that sense of community, people can just really bond with each other, even from just knowing them for a day. And after that, I can just say hello to them in the hallways and that kind of thing. So that's been something that's really special to me. And I know that like the sisterhood is sometimes may seem a little bit cheesy, but I've really found that it's a very real thing.
Thank you. Guillermo, Iselina mentioned a little bit about the community and what life is like a little bit. Maybe would you be willing? We have some questions about, share some information about the community at large. Is that something you'd be willing to share with us?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Iselina already did a great job of explaining the relationship between the students, but it's really been something greater than that for the past 4 years. Whether it's you're at a football game and you see one of your friend's parents, they reach out to you. They want to know how you're doing. They care about you, and they want to build that sense of greater community. And not just with the parents of the students, but as well as alumni. I've actually had the opportunity to meet a lot of alumni, not from my time at Regis, but from many, many years ago. And they always ask me, and like they want to make sure that I'm experiencing Regis Jesuit like they experienced it, to make sure that all these traditions and all these things that we do at Regis Jesuit help me feel welcome and help me build this community that Iselina was talking about.
Thank you. That kind of segues nicely into, we had a lot of questions about activities and clubs and sports and athletics and things that you could get involved in on campus. Khan, would you mind sharing a little bit about what your experiences have been in those areas?
Yes. So there's a lot of club and sport opportunities at Regis. Coming into Regis, I played volleyball and basketball, and volleyball was an amazing experience, and it was a way for me to create friendships with upperclassmen and just really feel the sisterhood. I'm also in a club called Diversity Action Group, which is a club that really talks about social issues in the, just in the world or just at Regis Jesuit. And I really do enjoy that group. It's also a way I created a lot of relationships with other upperclassmen.
No, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Kind of along those same lines, Ryan, what sort of role would you say that Regis has played in your own personal development?
That's a great question, Mr. Muller. I think that it's kind of hard to quantify how Regis develops you as a person. I remember very distinctly my freshman year coming in on Compass Day and going through all the activities, and next thing you know, I'm a senior, and a lot has changed in those 4 years. As you go through the Regis experience, I think it's very hard for you to recognize those moments where you're starting to really develop as a person. Now that I've graduated just recently, and now I'm starting to get a little more detached from the Regis experience, I think I'm going to be able to more adequately convey how I've developed. But I think that what we've talked about, and when it boils down to it, it boils down to the relationships that you create at Regis between students, between teachers, between alumni, like Guillermo talked about. And those relationships and the principles that they're rooted in at Regis all of them are directed at forming you as a person and turning you into a man or woman with and for others. That's firmly what I believe. And hopefully, that may sound a little cheesy. Hopefully, I can better express that as I go on with my life and start to reflect more on my Regis experience. But that's how I've seen it develop me.
Thank you. Akan, we had a question about managing a commute. Obviously, kids come from all over the Metro Denver area to Regis, and not everyone has a short commute. So I was wondering if maybe you could speak to what managing a commute has been like.
Managing a commute has been not too difficult. I was able to use the system that Regis, and I live in the east side of Denver. So I used a bus that meets at City Park, and we would go to 2 other stops, and then we'd head to Regis. But it was nice having the ability to go to a place that's so close that I'm able to still, gain a better education. And I think Regis does offer a lot of bus routes that are really useful that I would recommend using if you don't have the ability to have your parents take you to school every day. So yeah, and then my sister did take me to school eventually, but the bus system has always been nice to fall back on when there's like snow days or when the roads don't
Sure.
look too nice. We can always rely on the bus.
Great. Iselina, talk to us a little bit about how you think Regis has set you up for success in the future.
That's a good question. For me, I think a lot of it has to do with how Regis has set me up to view others in a better way, not having these assumptions that I can't talk to this person, I can't relate to this person, that kind of thing. And I think that will really help me in the future, just being really open to having a relationship with someone that I might not have expected. So Regis has opened my eyes in many ways in that way. And then also, I would say probably academics has really helped me as well. The academics are very rigorous, but not in a way that you can't handle them. And there's a lot of support coming from the teachers and from the faculty and staff and from other students too. And so I think that knowing that you won't be alone in your struggles, maybe whether it's academically or emotionally or any of those things, that you can reach out and that kind of thing. And so I think Regis has set me up a lot in a lot of ways in that way. And then also academically too, to add on to that, even though it has been rigorous, I think it's really set me up to discover what aspirations I have in life. Coming into Regis, I used to really dislike physics, but I took Mr. McLaughlin's class 2 years in a row, well, different sections, but I really loved his class, and it's actually led me to major in physics and medicine in college. So I think Regis can really open your horizons and how you view the world. And so I'm just really grateful for Regis in that aspect.
Wow, that's thanks so much for those pieces. So I know the panel has three seniors, recently graduated seniors, and one junior. So Akan, you're the junior. I'm not going to put you on the spot on where you're heading to college yet, but talk to me about some of your future aspirations at the very least. What are you hoping to study in college?
I'm hoping to study criminal justice and something in computer science. I've always been interested in, helping the world, but in a bigger aspect, and just being able to help a system where people who are usually, not having, are helping a system that helps others and doesn't like tear them down, which is really nice. So, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Guillermo, how about you? Where are you heading next year, and what are you planning to study?
Yeah, of course. So recently I actually committed to Carroll College. It's in Montana. And I am so excited. It was a new change from my original plans, but I think it was for the best. I'm actually planning, I'm currently undecided on what major I want to study, but if I had to look into two different fields, it would be civil engineering or education. And why education? Completely nothing to do with engineering, but I think Regis really opened my eyes in that, and seeing again the relationship with those teachers, that it's a great thing to be a teacher, and you get to build these amazing relationships with people. So yeah.
Well, if you decide to go that road, I'm sure Regis Jesuit would be interested in speaking with you in several years. Iselina, what about you? Where are you heading next? What are your plans?
Yeah, so I'm going to Notre Dame next year, and I'll be majoring in physics into medicine, which I'm pretty excited about. And Regis has helped me get to that point of realizing that that's one of my passions. And then I'm also going to be running at Notre Dame, so I'm super excited for that. I'm also thankful for Regis Jesuit Athletics because they've led me to that decision too. And then I'm thinking I might minor in music or a language. So,
yeah. So it sounds like you'll be plenty busy in college. Well done. Enjoy your time at South Bend. Ryan, what about you? What's the future hold for you?
Well, next year I'm going to be going to school at Harvard University in Cambridge. I'm really excited. It was my dream school, and I'm very, very excited to be attending there. One of the things that Regis really opened my eyes to, though, was this idea of service and serving the world. So I'm also going to be joining their Navy ROTC brigade and joining the United States Navy as an officer once I get out of school. Like Iselina as well, I'm also going to be an athlete. I'll be swimming there on their swim team as well. So I'm going to be busy as well. Thinking of majoring in a lot of different things right now. My main major I'm thinking about right now is quantitative economics. I'm thinking of doing some political science in there as well, but we'll see what happens.
Good. Yeah, I suppose we can never have enough outstanding service people. So yeah, really excited to see what the future holds for all of you. So thanks so much for making time for us this evening. I hope you enjoy the rest of your summers. Please stay in touch, and once again, thanks for sharing your experience with families that are on the kind of the beginning steps of their journey to Regis Jesuit. So thanks so much, and have a great night. So while the campus is a little quiet these days, we know someday, soon, ideally, we'll all be back on campus, and students will be living life as they always have here. So here's a brief video showing a little glimpse of student life on our campus. Wow, thanks again to the students for spending a little time with us this evening and sharing a little bit more about their own experiences. We had a few questions remaining that I'm probably among the best people to answer, or at least try to answer some of them as well. We had quite a few questions about scholarships and financial aid. That's an aspect of life here at Regis Jesuit that's particularly important. Every year we have a very robust financial aid budget available to families. Essentially, the idea behind that program is to adjust the tuition to fit what families can afford. Our average financial aid award for this coming school year is going to be about $11,500. So there's real beef and meat behind these awards. We're really lucky to have such outstanding support from both our alumni community, our past parents, and even our current families that acknowledge that Regis Jesuit was an important part of their own lives or their child's lives. They want to ensure that our community is as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. As well, there's all sorts of great information about our financial aid program and some of those pieces at play as well on our website. Once again, regisjesuit.com. If you click on admissions, you'll see an additional tab there about tuition and financial aid. So there's plenty of information there as well. You can always email our office at admissions@regisjesuit.com. My colleague Britt Davis heads up and leads much of our efforts in the financial aid realm. Another question that we received quite a bit is to talk to us a little bit about the Catholic nature of the school, as well as the experience for non-Catholic students. So yes, we're very much a Catholic school. We're run by the Jesuits, who are a particular order of Catholic priests. They're probably best known for their work in education. We're one of about 80 Jesuit high schools in North America. There are 28 Jesuit colleges and universities in the United States as well. Places like Boston College and Georgetown, Gonzaga, those are all Jesuit schools, even Regis University here in town. So we're very much a Catholic school. All the things you'd expect to see. There's daily mass available for students. The daily mass is not required, but we do have all school religious services masses about once a month as well. Currently, you can pick up weekly live streams from the Jesuit residents. They're doing masses in their chapel there on Sundays, so that's an opportunity for you as well. All of our students will participate in retreats all 4 years. They'll take theology courses all 4 years that will be taught from a Catholic perspective as well. I think one of the things that we're really after in terms of faith and faith formation is we want to ensure our students that when they enter, they're very much maybe in infancy in terms of becoming adults in their faith lives, and we want to be there to support them and love them and help them, understand what it means to be, a Catholic student, or if they come from a different faith tradition, what it means to be the best Jew or Muslim, Hindu or Buddhist, whatever that may be. And for non-Catholic families as well, there's no such thing as a Regis Jesuit light, if you will. You can expect your students to have the full experience. We've heard there's a concept or a term in Jesuit education, maybe the bedrock principle of Jesuit education is a Latin term meaning cura personalis, which means, loosely means care and concern for the individual. So my job and my colleagues' job, our first responsibility is to find out who these young people are, to figure out what makes them tick and help them become the best versions of themselves. And so in doing that, we're going to, we're not in the business of telling students what to think, but we are very much in the business of encouraging our students to think, to consider their place within their family's own faith traditions, and to bring some of that to our campus, and then take some of who we are and what we've been up to with them when they leave. So I think you can expect to feel that and see that day in and day out on our campus as well. Another question, or kind of a collection of questions we received were regarding the application process and what sort of impact the COVID crisis has had upon us in that regard. Our application is done online, so you can always access it on your time through our website as well. In terms of what the COVID realities will be, I think we all know that every student is in a educational situation that is different than they started the school year, and certainly different than they probably experienced up until this point. So we're really comfortable. I had a middle school teacher share with me that that she thought every student should receive a grade of P for pandemic this spring, and I'm not sure I disagree. That seems like an appropriate way to proceed. But I think we feel very comfortable. We have a wonderful relationship with literally we get students from over 100 different middle schools here, so we have wonderful working relationships with all of these schools. So if we have questions, we can always follow up on those pieces, and we'll make do with the information you're able to provide, or students are able to provide in the application process. I think our general mindset on applications is help us better understand who this young person is, what makes them tick, and make sure that we have the supports in place to help them be successful, to help them achieve and become that best version of themselves as well. So we also have an FAQ section on the admissions page of our website that addresses kind of directly some of the more specific questions about the impact of the pandemic on the application process. So you can check that out there as well. For the parents watching this evening, I want to make sure that you have an understanding of what your experience would be like as your student attends Regis Jesuit as well. We have a brief video sharing just some voices and some thoughts on what it's like to be a parent in our community as well.
We made the decision to have our children attend Regis Jesuit first and foremost because of the Catholic Foundation. There's no doubt that Regis Jesuit provides a fantastic education and absolutely prepares them for college beyond what probably a lot of other schools do. But Regis Jesuit does something more than just education. 140 years of knowing how to build men and women provides a lot of character and prepares them for what they're going to see in the rest of life. To us as a family, that was very important.
We made the decision to attend Regis Jesuit because we found that the academic rigor was going to be an extremely beneficial value to our children and to who they would become and the impact that they would have in the world that we live in.
So we've talked quite a bit about service this evening, and as you may or may not know, all of our students will do a bare minimum of 175 hours of community service during their time at Regis Jesuit. We partner with over 100 different nonprofit organizations around the Metro Denver area, as well as many organizations further afield and even some international opportunities. In order to get started, we figured we might as well get started with prospective students and their families right away and being engaged in some service opportunities as early as this summer. So we've partnered with a longtime group, a longtime organization, the Tennyson Center, to share a little bit more about this project. My colleague, Olivia Jorgensen. Olivia, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. We're so excited to be with you and your families tonight. Yes, we have a wonderful opportunity for all students who will be 8th graders this fall. The Team Tennyson Project is a new virtual service event that will bring together both of our current students as well as our prospective students. And the goal is to organize fun summer baskets for the children and the families of the Tennyson Center. It's really designed for you and the prospective students to give you a glimpse of kind of how that Jesuit education goes beyond the classroom. So we're really hoping many of you can join us.
Olivia, tell us a little bit about what takes place at the Tennyson Center, who they are, and how they serve the Metro Denver community.
Yeah, well, it's a place where children will come who are often neglected or have suffered abuse, and they will come and they have faculty members there, staff who work with these children and kind of help them kind of reintegrate back into their Colorado communities as they are healing. And what's amazing is our students will actually go in and work with these students for their service projects. Sometimes it's up to 2 weeks. They work directly with their students. And I know all of them will tell you that those students impact them as much as they impact those students.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm really excited about the event. What's the best way for people to get signed up and get ready to go?
It's pretty easy. It's sort of how you signed up for this event. Everything you can do as far as admissions goes with us can be online right now, which is a really great thing. So all you need to do is just log into your Regis Jesuit admissions account, and then you'll find the checklist where you can sign up for the Team Tennyson Project.
Awesome. So once again, all you need to do is create an online admissions account through our website, regisjesuit.com. Click on the admissions tab. That will lead you down that road. If you ever have any questions, we can always help. Reach out to admissions@regisjesuit.com as well. It's probably the best way to reach us during these times too. So thanks so much, Olivia. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
As a Catholic Jesuit high school, spirituality plays an integral role in the life of our students and in our community. Here's a brief video sharing just a little bit about that.
The nature of a Jesuit education is first and foremost founded in Catholic worldview. But I think one doesn't just have to be Catholic to gain a great deal from a Jesuit education.
The religion here, it's up to you. If your faith is something that you're interested in, you always have the opportunity to go deeper, and you always have the opportunity to learn more. They just meet you where you are.
Everyone is welcome at the table. I mean, here at Regis Jesuit, a student absolutely takes theology classes and absolutely learns about the Christian faith, the Roman Catholic faith. I've come across so many students who were not particularly Roman Catholic or not even Christian, and they're not offended by the theology classes, but rather inspired by those classes.
We are really trying to help our students develop an authentic relationship with God and to be able to discern where their unique gifts and talents are so that they will go forth and serve the world.
So it's a real opportunity for everyone to really grow in their sense of who they are and who God is, and to really discover a communal spirituality which we share here at Regis Jesuit, but allowing that to inform as well my own personal spirituality.
Regis Jesuit has really challenged me to look at my faith through a different lens.
People of all faiths, people with developing faith, they're all people who the Jesuit education embraces.
one of the ways that students are involved in our community is through athletics. So we'd like to share just a brief little video to give you a little teaser of what life is like in our athletics program. So we've reached the end of the evening. Thank you so much for joining us. If you missed any part of the event, or a member of your family or friend didn't get the chance to join us this evening, we'll have rebroadcasts available on YouTube, or you can watch it right back here on Facebook as well. So once again, thanks so much for joining us tonight. If you want to find out about other upcoming events, all you have to do is create an online admissions account by visiting regisjesuit.com, click on admissions, and that will point you in the right direction. So thank you. I hope your family stays healthy and safe during these challenging times. I look forward to seeing you all, hopefully in person sometime soon. So thank you, and have a wonderful evening.